also very dedicated to making a difference in the community. He builds bridges. Now, I'm not talking about a bridge that you drive over. I'm talking about building bridges against people who might not see the same way. They might have race differences, they might have social differences, they may have cultural differences. And he brings people together and makes a difference and has an impact. He is a motivational speaker. He is a marketer. He is an entrepreneur. He's a coach. He is a remarkable person, and I look forward to him sharing his story and helping us to become great in what we do in Rotary. So please join me in welcoming Tru Pettigrew. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So Tru actually came to a Rotary meeting and spoke to our club, and it was just phenomenal. But listening to his story, we were like, he's a Rotarian. He just doesn't know it. So we invited him to join Rotary, and so he is a Rotarian of the Rotary Club of Carrie McGregor. It's my honor. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Donna. Hello, hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Is this thing on? All right, excellent. Turn this one, all right. You turned it off? Okay, great. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to. No, he gave me strict instructions, and I forgot. Like, the first thing I did is I walked away. He said, when you get on stage, make sure you pause for a second and turn so I can get a photo, because that probably will be the only time I could actually capture a good picture of you. And so I forgot. So if you guys can just... We're good? All right. All right. So now that I got that out of horrible directions, right? So I am very excited to be here. As you just heard, my name is Tru Pettigrew. I live in Cary, and I am a proud member of the Carrie McGregor Rotary Club. Right? And today I want to talk to you all about tapping into your greatness. And the beautiful thing about that with this group is because we're all Rotarians, you've already understood the significance and the importance of that because you've taken some steps into putting service above self, right? And that's one of the things that we need to do when we tap into our greatness. So I want to talk about this in 3 parts. And questions that I often get asked about whatever I'm talking about, whether I'm talking about diversity and inclusion, leadership, or purpose, is the question of, well, why, right? So I want to start off with answering the question why. Then I want to answer the question how. Right? How, Tru, how do I tap into my greatness? And then I want to answer the question what. What are the benefits? What do you get from tapping into your greatness? So as we talk about that, the first thing that I want you all to understand is that greatness is already inside of you and already inside of each and every one of us. That is why we need to tap into it. And why should you tap into your greatness? Because that is what we were created for. That is what we were created for. We were created to be great, right? And so if we tap into that greatness, that gives us a life of joy. It gives us a life of happiness. It gives us a life of fulfillment, right? When we tap into that greatness, and it gives us a life of purpose. Otherwise, just the definition of greatness, let's just start with that. Defining greatness is achievements that are considerably above what's average or normal. That's greatness. Considerably above what's average or normal. So one of the things that we all need to understand is when we are tapping into that greatness, it is going to require us to do things that are not normal. So if you're doing something that's above average or above normal, most people are accustomed to what? What's normal, right? That's what makes it normal, because that's what most people are accustomed to. So when you are tapping into your greatness, you have to expect resistance and pushback. You have to expect it because you're doing things that people don't consider normal, right? So the biggest enemy of greatness is not the haters, like people that's going to hate on you. We have a great idea. You're going to do something that's different outside of the box. You're going to have your haters, right? They'll be like, no, that's not going to work. That'll never work. You can never do that. No, come on. Like, I don't even know why you're trying that. That's happened to pretty much everyone in here. Had a great idea, right? And people trying to tell you why it won't work. So you're going to have your haters. You're going to have your naysayers. And then you're even going to oftentimes blame people that are already achieving greatness, right? It's just like, oh, man, look at Jim's got all that money, man. He's doing this. He knows that if he could just let me hold a couple dollars, I could get this business started. Like, no, he's already achieved his greatness. You can't blame him. The biggest enemy to our greatness is our willingness to wade in our own mediocrity. That is the biggest enemy to our greatness, right? So one of the first things I want us to understand is to recognize who the real enemy is. It's not your haters. It's not your naysayers, right? It's our willingness to wade in our own mediocrity. So let me just, for me, I don't know, I'm probably older than a lot of you out here right now, right? So I remember growing up, the show Batman and Robin. Anybody remember Batman and Robin? Anybody remember that show? But see, I'm talking like Batman and Robin when they were fighting like the Penguin, the Riddler, the Joker, Catwoman, and like when they were fighting, you would see like bang, pow, boom on the screen and like these big explosive words. That Batman and Robin. Anybody remember that? Oh, yeah, okay, so yeah, okay, we got some generational similarities then going on up in here. All right, okay. You remember that? You look a little young. I remember that. You remember that? Bang, pow, zoom? All right, so I remember watching Batman and Robin every week. And you know, it was the show that it came on weekly. You had to wait, right? And then, so I'm watching Batman and Robin. And so, inevitably, right, they get into a fight, right? And so they got all like the Penguin to be like, he would send his henchmen, get him, boys, right? So he sent his henchmen, they fighting Batman and Robin, and they battling, bang, pow, zoom, right? And so Batman's handling his business, Robin's handling his business, and then inevitably, right, Robin get caught up, Robin get caught slipping, always, right? And so then Robin gets caught slipping, so Batman's over here handling his business. Then Batman sees his man, his boy Wonder, is in trouble. So what does he have to do? He's like, oh, man, I got to go help Robin out. So he goes over here, and in the process of helping Robin out, what happens? He gets hemmed up. So now they both caught. They hanging upside down over a pit of lava, right? And then, but this was the worst part for me. Tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat. I'm like, no, like, what's about to happen? And so the whole week, I'm mad. But you know, I'm mad at Robin. I'm mad at Robin. The whole like, yo, Robin, man, what's wrong with you? You do this every week. You need to learn how to fight. Come on, man, take some classes or something. Every week, it's because of you. You can't fight. Y'all get caught hanging over the lava. I might not see this show again. Y'all gonna die. Show gonna go off the air, right? So like, this is all the thoughts that's going through my mind. And so I'm mad at Robin. But then the show comes on the following week, right? And I'm like, yo, Batman gonna light into Robin. Yo, he gonna light into Robin, right? He never did. He never did. He was like, okay, Robin, if I could just reach my utility belt, right? And then he gets his utility belt, and some fancy thing comes out. They attack, and they beat the enemies, right? And so what that taught me is we have to always remember who the real enemy is, right? And that's the one thing Batman taught me in those lessons. Like, Robin was not his enemy, right? Robin was his man, right? Robin was his sidekick. He had his back. He couldn't fight, but you know what I mean? But that was his guy, right? And so oftentimes we want to blame other outside forces and other things, and like we have to, the real enemy, we need to take a look inside, and it's our willingness to accept our own mediocrity because that's comfortable, right? We have to be willing to tap into our greatness. And so when you're doing that, I can tell you the journey for everyone in here. I have not met everyone in here. I've met a lot of you. But the journey for you to your greatness is this: dream, struggle, victory. Right? That's the journey. And you can't skip that second step. You can't skip that second season as often as we want to, as often as we try to. Right? You can't skip that. Dream, you've got to have a dream. You've got to have a vision. That vision and that dream is placed inside of you for a reason. Right? That's your calling for what you have been placed here to do. That greatness that is inside of you, it is a formula that has been placed in you. And a part of that is the dream and the vision and the passion that you have. But as you're pursuing that journey to greatness, you are going to have some struggles. But it's because of the passion that is inside of you that will sustain you through those struggles. But then the beauty is, as long as you do not give up, as long as you do not give up, you will reap that harvest in the victory season. And the thing is, you all have heard it before, teamwork makes the dream work. And every dream needs a team. So I used to think that I only needed help in my struggle phase, right? But as I've been fortunate enough to have some successes in life, I've realized, no, Tru, you need help in the dream phase too, to help people breathe life into that dream, right? Because as good as you think you are, as talented as you think you are, as nice as you think you are, you can't do it all, right? Now, you definitely need help in that struggle phase. You need to surround yourself with people, and this is the key. Listen to me when I say this. This is important. Surround yourself with people who want more for you than they want from you, right? Surround yourself with that dream team. So then in the victory phase, this is when we really need the help. When we think, okay, I've made it to the mountaintop, I'm good. No, 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 my friend. Because that's when you start feeling yourself. You get a little arrogant. You think you got it all figured out. And then that's when that's when the fall really comes, right? Pride comes before the fall. So if you don't have people that's helping you to check your ego, once you've gotten to that mountaintop, you're going to have a mighty, mighty hard fall, right? Dream, struggle, victory, that's the process. And you need to surround yourself with people who want more for you than they want from you, right? Because every dream needs a team. So now the question is, okay, well, how? How do I tap into that greatness that's inside of me? How do I do that, Tru? A process that I call following your GPS. Follow your GPS, right? Everyone that got here, not everyone. Some of you may have used the GPS to get here today. Did anybody have to use a GPS, punch in some coordinates to get in today? I know I did, right? So you punch it in, and it tells you where to go. All you got to do is listen, follow the directions, right? We all have our own internal GPS. And what that is, those are your gifts, your passions, and your service. And the coordinates have already been programmed. All we have to do is listen. So you have to find that intersection point between your gifts and your passions. And then that is how you have been wired and created to serve something that is greater and bigger than yourself, right? Find your gifts. Why do your gifts matter, right? Who are your gifts supposed to be of service to? How do you want people to feel after you've shared your gifts with them, right? And then find what are those passions, what are the things that get you up in the morning. You know, my years in corporate, I used to hear all my clients talk about, oh man, this is what keeps me up at night. This is what keeps me up at night. No, what's the thing that gets you up in the morning, right? That's the thing you need to focus on. What gets you out of bed? Like, you just can't wait to get to do this, right? That's your passion. But then the key is to find the intersection point between your gifts and your passions. Because it's not one or the other. They need to coexist. Your gifts are what you're good at, naturally good at. You don't even know why. That's why it's a gift. A gift is something that's been given to you, right? And so we all need to be able to reach that God-given potential in every realm of life, every facet of life, every dimension of life. And that's what our gifts allow us to do, those passions that have been placed in us. So that intersection point, and here's what I mean. If you are operating strictly on your gifts, on your gifting, when things get tough, that struggle phase we talked about, things get hard, things get tough, what's going to happen? You're going to quit. You're going to give up. No, man, this is too tough. No, I'm good. You're going to give up if things get too tough, right? That's why you need the passion. The passion sustains you. But if you're operating strictly on passion, right, but it's not your gift, you're probably not going to do too well at it. So for me, I'm passionate about music. Love music, right? Love soul music, R&B music, gospel music. I love music. Passionate about it. It's not my gift. Just not my, I'm not going to be the next platinum artist on your radio dial. Like, it's just not going to happen, right? It's not my gift. So it needs to, like, you just don't want me on your choir. Like, where's Larry? Larry, that's your gift, right? So you don't want me on your choir. So it has to be that intersection point between your gifts and your passions, and then that's where you know you've been called to serve. And for a lot of years, for me in corporate, I had figured out, was able to have a lot of worldly success, right, as an advertising executive. I started True Access 7 years ago. But throughout my advertising career, flying here, flying there, flying all over the world, making a lot of money, buying nice things, and all that is fine and good. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I still am, I love my life. I have a great life, great wife, great family. But what was happening before I actually started following that path to my GPS is I had all of these things, but I was looking for a sense of fulfillment, right? I had a nice house. I wanted a nicer house. Had a nice car. I just wanted a nicer car. Had a nice watch. I wanted a nicer watch. Like, I was looking for this sense of fulfillment and happiness through external things. But that's not where it comes from, ladies and gentlemen. I was looking to fill something with things from the outside. There is something that comes from the inside. The greatness is in you. And that comes from getting in alignment with your assignment. What is your purpose? Why are you here? And that's what that GPS guides you to. It leads you to your purpose. And that is how we have that sense of joy and that fulfillment and that happiness that I was talking about. And I'm not talking about just in one facet of your life. You could be great at what you do in your career, but your marriage could be in shambles, right? Your kids don't even know who you are. You have no social skills. Like, you're the person on the corner of the house, all the kids hate you, right? So, but it's about, we all share the same 7 life dimensions, right? Faith, family, career, material, social, physical, mental. We all share the same 7 life dimensions. And the key is to tap into that greatness. And when you are living on purpose, then you are experiencing greatness in all of those areas of your life, right? And so for me, Donna talked about me being a bridge builder. I know that is why I am here on this planet. I have that clarity that I am here to build bridges. So what is your purpose? Are you here to inspire greatness? Are you here to heal wounds? Are you here to enhance talent? Like, what is it? What is that for you? And then that's what you are. That's who you become. You do that in every facet of your life. Like, I have a great marriage. I have a great business. I have a great family. I have great social connections. Why? Because I've tapped into my greatness. That is why I exist. So I do that. I build bridges in my relationship with my wife, right? I build bridges in my relationship with my son. I build bridges in my relationship in my community. Understand this. The thing about greatness is most of us think that greatness is about our ability to do something that other people can't do. we think that's what makes us great. Like, who are some greats that just think of some greats throughout history? Who are some people that come to mind when you think of great people throughout history? Muhammad Ali. Who else? Gandhi, Harriet Tubman, Abraham Lincoln, my man on the stage, right? Now, Abraham Lincoln probably wasn't the best orator of his time, probably wasn't the best politician. I mean, he lost 8 times before he finally became president. He ran 8 times. Come on, man. Right? Harriet Tubman, Muhammad Ali, right? Now, I would contend that none of them, just based on their ability to do what other people couldn't do, is what projected them to their greatness, right? There were other people who could have freed slaves, took them along the Underground Railroad, but they didn't, right? There were other great boxers during that time, but we know Muhammad Ali is much for his social and his stands for social justice and humanity as we do for boxing, right? So your greatness has more to do with your willingness to do what other people won't do than it has to do with your ability to do what other people can't do. You can be bigger, better, stronger, faster, and still not tap into your greatness if you are not willing to do what other people won't do. And that's your not only opportunity, that is your responsibility, because tapping into your greatness is not just about you. It's about the lives that you have been placed here to touch and to impact, right? So the people around you. One of the things that I do, I'm going to tell y'all, I'm tell y'all this real quick. And this, my wife, let me see, my wife not here, right? So, no, but I have a great marriage. And I know that in this country, we all heard the statistics that on average in America, most marriages, 50% of marriages end up in divorce, right? And that number actually is, that's the average. It's higher once you get into your second and third marriage, right? The first marriage, 41% of first marriages end up in divorce. I think it's something like 56% of second marriages end up. And it's crazy to me. You figure like, yo, you had a practice round. Like, what's wrong? Like, but on average, 50% of marriages end up in divorce, right? And I think 85% of the people in the world, Craig, is your name Craig? Yeah. Oh, Shoppy, I'm sorry, but all right. 85% of people in the world are unhappy at their date. Not just unhappy. Gallop to the poll. 85% of people in the world hate their job. 70% of people in the U.S. hate their job, according to a Gallup poll. 1 in 12 adults have been diagnosed with depression, right? In America. Is that tapping into our greatness? Now, that doesn't happen if you've tapped into your greatness and you have been designed and created to be great. But what we've allowed to happen is we've allowed the world to dictate to us who we should be, right? No, but we need to recognize who we are and whose we are. You have been created and designed for greatness, right? Like even when Jesus walked this planet, he said he was talking to the disciples, but he was talking to us. He said, greater things will you do even than I. Greater is he or she that is in you than he that is in the world. He's telling us the greatness is inside of you. I just need you to tap into it. Come on, what you waiting for? I've even given you the blueprint. I've given you that map, that GPS. Trust your gifts. Pursue your passions. And focus on serving others. Right? Now, accumulating things is cool, it's good, but that's part of the process. Consumption is part of the process, but contribution is the purpose. That's where you get that sense of fulfillment from. But we've confused the process with the purpose of why we're here. When someone asks you what you want, what you do for a living, we all have this moment, this feeling of wanting to say something and being excited to say something that's impressive. We want to impress people, right? Someone said, what school do your kids go to? You want to say something that's impressive. What do you drive? Oh, yeah, well, you know that Bugatti out there, that little thing, that's mine. You know, you want to say something impressive. So we're too caught up trying to impress people versus impact people. Do you want to impress or do you want to impact? We have been called to impact the lives of others, but we're too busy trying to impress other people with what we have and what we've accomplished and what we've accumulated, right? Consumption is part of the process, absolutely. But contribution is the purpose. Your desire, this is how you know you've tapped into your greatness. When your desire to give has exceeded your expectation to receive, that's when you know you have tapped into your greatness. When your desire to give has exceeded your expectation to receive. And that was the switch for me, right? So my first year, I've been married 17 years. 16 happily married. That's why I had to check, make sure my wife wasn't in here, Kelly, before I tell this story. But nah, year one was tough. I'm being honest with you. Year one was tough. And year one was tough. I can understand now why year one was tough. It's because now in hindsight, I can understand how I was approaching the marriage. My desire to give did not exceed my expectation to receive. I was policing the relationship based on what are you doing for me? Right? So I was good at policing what she's not doing. Oh, I was a subject matter expert. But what I wasn't focused on was what am I doing? What am I contributing? What am I giving? Right? I remember going to one of my uncles in that first year and talking to him about the challenges in the relationship, in the marriage. And I was like, oh, Unc, I do this, and she don't do that. I mean, like, I'm doing this, and I'm just going on and on and on. He's listening, right? He's listening. He's not saying anything. He's just listening. Then I was done. He said, you done? I was like, yeah, I got it all out. He's like, well, if everything that you said is true, then you're right. You're right. She should appreciate you more. He said, but my only question to you is, do you want to be right or do you want to be married? It was a fair question. Fair question. Well, I think you all know how the story, it'll be 17 in September, so I chose option B. Right? But what I had to understand, if I wanted a great marriage, I had to tap into the greatness that was inside of me. And what is greatness? Greatness has more to do with my willingness to do what others won't do than it has to do with my ability to do what others can't do. For all of the men in here, we pretty much have the ability, and even the women, to do the same things. I mean, you could buy a card, you could buy a cake, you could take a trip, you could go, like, we can do that. One of the things that I've done, and I'm not suggesting that you need to do this, and I just started this year, but I've done something different every year. And for this year, I call it the Tru Pettigrew Love and Affection Connection. That's right. Every day, not every week, not every month, every day, I find a different way to show my love for my wife. Like I think about, like I'm very intentional about what can I do differently today to show and express my love, right? Whether it's just writing a card, whether it's buying some little trinket, whether it's planning a day date, whether it's sending her to get her a massage, little things, right? And every day, and she's grown to look forward to those things. What are we, 5 months in, and she's grown to look forward. But it's a decision to do things that maybe other people won't do, that's making a difference, that's making it great. And then when you lead with purpose in everything that you do, then you're not worried about trying to figure out one life dimension over the other. Because let me tell you, each of those 7 life dimensions that we talked about, they are all competing for your time, attention, and resources. You just take one of those life dimensions. You can just take one. You take family, you take faith, you can take career. Just take one. Let's just take career. Your career is demanding of so much time and attention and resources, just that one life dimension alone. So it makes me laugh when I hear this notion of work-life balance. Because essentially what we're saying is we're going to take one of those dimensions, work, and balance that with the other 6. Right? Virtually impossible. That's why it causes us so much angst and frustration. Right? And then what happens is when you are frustrated, you are unhappy, unfulfilled, unsatisfied, that bleeds into those other dimensions. And now those 85% of people that aren't tapping into their greatness because they are unhappy at work, they hate their jobs, now that's affecting how you parent, how you spouse, how you interact with your social circle. You know, how committed you are to your faith, right? How you take care of your body, your mind, your spirit. It's affecting all of those things. But when you are in alignment with your assignment and you are operating on purpose, ladies and gentlemen, it becomes a seamlessly integrated circuit that is not even about balance anymore, where they are feeding one another, right? They're feeding one another. And so you're not struggling with trying to achieve a certain balance anymore. It was my 40th birthday party. And, all right, we're going to talk openly as a family right now, so no judgment, okay? No judgment. Can we get that in agreement? Jim, come on, Jim. You like, come on. Okay, all right. So this was the wake-up call for me. And I don't know where any of you are in your journey, but this was the wake-up call for me. It's my 40th birthday party. I'm 51 years old. And I was, at this point in my life, I was more consumed with the things of the world, if you will, right? And so I had rented out the Versace mansion in South Beach to throw my 40th, but I see how you looking at me, man. I said, come on, man, I know, don't judge me, sir, please. But I had rented out the Versace mansion in South Beach. Anybody, South Beach, Versace mansion, familiar? All right, and invited a lot of, I had some of my celebrity friends come, so it was kind of a big to-do, right? So people flying from all over. I had Belvedere was one of my clients at the time, and I had them sponsor my birthday. This sounds so obnoxious, I know. And so I had Belvedere sponsor my birthday party, and it was kind of crazy. And it was kind of a big deal to be able to attend this party. And so it was a friend of mine. I was living in Boston at the time, and one of the managers at the Barney's in Copley. Anybody in Boston familiar with Boston? Boston, so Copley Square, there's a Barney's in Copley Square. And so he was one of the managers there, and he was kind of like my pseudo stylist. Like he would always hold some pieces. It's like, you see how you nicely dressed you're looking right now? Like, talking to you, Jim. And so he would hold some stuff aside for me, right? And I would come in, and so I said, I'm going to invite this guy to the party. So I invite him to my birthday party. And so he's excited, and so he's telling one of the other people that works at Barney's that he's going to Tru's party. And so the other guy's like, Tru, which Tru? And he's telling me this story. His name's Will. He's telling me this story. And he's like, yeah, so I was telling so-and-so that I'm coming to your party. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to Tru's 40th birthday party. He's like, Tru. Tru's like, yeah, you know Tru. Tru, come on, man. He's got the S500, you know, the S500 Benz. He's got the presidential Rolex with the green face, and he's got like this platinum chain, and it's got this iced out cross. It's really a T, but he told his mother it's a cross. And so it's like, yeah. And so I'm listening to him describe me. And I'm like, wow, is that how people see me? Everything he used to describe me, well, what? Things. Everything he used to describe me with things. And I was like, wow, is this going to be my legacy? Am I going to be known more for what I've consumed from this world than what I've contributed to this world? That is not a great legacy. And so that is what led me on my journey to discovering this process that I believe was divinely inspired of GPS to purpose. And I had figured out the G and the P. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if you are at a place where you are feeling frustrated, if you are feeling stuck, if you are in that 70%, if you are in that 85%, if you are in that 50%, if you are in that 41%, if you are in that 1 out of 12, part of what the challenge could be is if you have not tapped into the greatness that is inside of you to provide a service to others greater than yourself. Because I'd figured out the G and the P, so my worldly success was on fleek. It means it was doing well. I'm sorry. Right? So, but there was something inside of me that was still unfulfilled, and I couldn't figure it out. It's because I wasn't providing a service to others. That's the S. That part is critical. That is what allows us to tap into our greatness, right? And we cannot fall victim to what the rest of the world wants us to be or dictates to us what we should be, right? We have to get in alignment with our own assignment and live on purpose based on what we've been created to be, not what someone else. Like, stop looking at yourself in somebody else's mirror. Like, what you have, that's not for me, right? I can't try to replicate your success. I need to tap into the greatness that's inside of me. I can't tap into your greatness or your greatness or your greatness. I need to tap into the greatness that's inside of me. That's how I'm going to be fulfilled, and that's how I'm going to be the best possible servant to the rest of the world that I can possibly be. And when you are doing what you are supposed to be doing on this planet, trust me when I tell you, you cannot be stopped. You can't be stopped. But if you are doing something that you should not be doing, then you should be stopped. Period. Because it's not any good to you. I mean, you have some worldly success. Look, I wasn't happy. Now my life is great, right? And I want that for any and everybody that I meet. I want that holistic greatness in every realm of life, in every dimension of life. But we can't allow the rest of the world to dictate to us who we should be or what they think we should be. Who was it? You guys know 3 great men throughout history. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Heard of them? Anybody heard of them? Yeah? Sure. That my friend in the back. Y'all heard of them? Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Anybody? What's that? You've heard of them now. What was that?
Who they play for?
They play for the Golden State Warriors. Also known as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Right? Do you know how they got the name Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? King Nebuchadnezzar gave them those names because those names meant something that was outside of their Christian faith. These were among the best of Israel after he had conquered Israel. including Daniel. Daniel was one of them, but the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were their names, right? And so here it is, the dominant voice of society at that time, King Nebuchadnezzar, is now trying to give them new identities based on who he wants them to be to serve his own good, right? But the reason that we know who they are, because of the greatness that they achieved, because they maintained their sense of identity and their own sense of purpose, no matter what the world tried to tell them, or no matter who the world tried to tell them they were. They didn't change who they were, right? And that's the reason we know their story now. And they were able to overcome all of these different obstacles, right? It's because they stayed true to who they are. And so I would encourage each and every one of us to do the exact same thing. Do not let the world influence you to seek to impress over seeking to impact, right? Do not let the world tell you that you should get as much as you can out of this world before you leave. We've all heard that. I know I've heard it. We're taught, get as much as you can out of this world before you out of here. No. Contribute as much as you can to this world before you leave. That is how we are able to tap into our greatness. And so I'll wrap up with, what are the benefits for you when you do that? We answered why, so that you can live out your full God-given potential in every realm of life. We answered how. Follow that internal GPS to purpose, your gifts, your passions, and your service. What do you get? What are the benefits? Value, impact, and precision. You will get increased value in everything that you do, everything that you do. You will have greater impact in everything that you do. And you will operate with much more precision in everything that you do. Value, impact, and precision. That's a VIP experience for you on a daily basis. For you and everybody whose life you touch, you will create a VIP experience. So remember, your greatness has less to do with your ability to do what others can't do, and everything to do with your willingness to do what others won't do. Thank you for your time.
You did good.
Thank you. Thank you.